Yeah, percussions.
Hello, and welcome to the Thunder Nerds. My name is Janelle Pizarro.
I'm Frederick Philip Von Weiss, and thank you for consuming the Thunder Nerds, a conversation with the people behind the technology
that love what they do and do tech good.
Ha! Doing tech. Everybody, welcome to the first show of 2019. We're in the future.
Oh my gosh, we missed you so much.
Yeah, it's been a few months, so yeah, happy to be back and happy to have you back. Please subscribe to the show on YouTube, our podcast, Patreon. Help us out. We'd love to hear from you. And with that said, without further ado, we got a really big show. As we were saying earlier, guys, we have an array of 0 to 5 today. We have 6 guests. One will jump in just a little bit, but why don't we go ahead and get to them, and then we'll talk about the main subject of this show, which is DevFest Florida. So if we can, do you mind if we all just kind of go around the room and say who you are? Starting with you.
I'll start because my name begins with B for Betty. I'm Betty Pierce. I'm going to be talking on React Native, up and running.
Woo woo.
I guess I'll go next.
That would be the natural reaction.
So I'm Eva, and I'll be talking about how to nail the tech interview.
Nice.
I like your change of glasses there. What's going on?
I'll do it again. You ready?
Yes, there's a Clark Kent Superman thing going on?
Yeah, I like that.
Here we go. That's another pair.
Okay.
Yeah. Why one we're just kind of dirty. All right, next.
Okay, I think I'm next in line. I'm Joey deVilla, and my presentation is going to be Jump into Jupyter Notebooks.
So many J's!
So many J's, it's the letter of the day.
You know what? I didn't even notice that. I'm going to have to do something with that.
Yay, alliteration.
And
I think we have Michael here, but
did Michael disappear?
He ghosted us.
Oh man, Michael will come back.
Yeah,
everybody will come back.
You.
Yeah, we miss you, Michael. So we're talking about DevFest Florida 2019. It's happening on January 19th. That's just a few days away. It's on a Saturday. It's all day. It's a big event filled with design things, development things, the new hotness, quote unquote, I'm told. So it is filled with a lot of amazing learnings. Oh, and I think we just got somebody else in. Who just joined? Who are you? What do you do?
Hey, I'm Siva. I'm working. I'm in Orlando. Somehow, the Hangout is not working, so I just joined late.
Nice, that's all right. Yeah. I could tell by that sketchboard behind you, you have a child as well.
Yes, I got a 2-year-old daughter.
I got a 4-year-old. Yeah, it's one of those too. I love those.
Yeah. What are you?
So we were just saying that we are talking about DevFest, and we have all you guys coming here and going to talk a little bit about your presentations at the event, and we're really honored to have you here, especially on our first episode of 2019.
Yeah, thanks. I'm excited equally. So I'm very excited to talk with you guys, and I'm eagerly waiting for the DevFest Florida.
Yeah, it's going to be awesome. And you know what? I should also say right at the beginning that if you want to get 25% off your ticket, go to thundernerds.io/DevFest, and you'll get a 25% off your ticket. So that's nothing to laugh at. That's a good price, and it's going to be an amazing event. So if we can, why don't we go ahead and start off by jumping into one of your talks. Maybe, Betty, as you said, you got to go a little bit early, possibly. Do you want to go first and talk about what your presentation is going to be on?
Sure. I'm going to be covering React Native. So it's based in React Framework. I actually used this with Girls Who Code a few weeks ago. Went to Coleman Middle School, and they all had their iPhones. So I had the teacher install, I had the teacher install the Expo app, and within minutes they were up and running. It was really cool. It's built with a CLI. I've been doing this presentation for about a year, and I've literally had to rewrite it 3 times. It's just bleeding edge technology. So I kind of go through what is it like working in bleeding edge technology, what to expect. And I literally walk you through the error messages because this is real life. When I give talks, nothing works perfectly because that's not how we code, right? We code to error messages. We embrace them. We really like error messages because when our code's not working and we don't have error messages, then we're just like, I don't know what to do. So I'm going to be giving you real life examples. This is you know, how we code, starting with the CLI, working with Expo, and seeing the power of it. It's just really pervasive, which is really fun. If you're a front-end dev, as I am, it's something that you can jump in and start building native apps. So, and again, I'll show off some of the stuff we did with Girls Who Code. So if we can teach middle school girls, we can definitely teach all of you guys to get up and running with React Native.
Nice. What are some of the things that people might know about React Native as far as how to implement it and when to implement it? Like there's people out there that understand React but might not get the whole concept of native and the power of it.
Right. So some of the presentation is, okay, if you're looking at starting a React Native project, what does that look like? What kind of environments are you going to need? What's the CLI versus when we have to eject it and work with Xcode and work with Android Studio? What's the life cycle like? It's not, you know, even though it's a library, we still have to build it out and transpile it in the Android in the stores, right? In the Apple Store and in Google Play. So I talk a little bit about that, but it's really, you know, it's only 45 minutes. So I want to just get everybody enough that they know what it is, how to get started. And if they, I was actually very complimented. One of my colleagues said he had used my deck and pitched it to his manager saying, well, we're doing a native app, you know, check out what, you know, to expect of that. That's honestly the best compliment I can give to the dev community, is kind of give them some cliff notes of what to expect. I have built a couple, well, we've built one production app, and it was a monster because we had to do it in Angular and, excuse me, not Angular. I'm so excited to be here.
So excited to have you.
Android, and iOS, and Windows. And Windows was particularly challenging. So I kind of share some of those insights and struggles that we did as well. So from a managerial perspective, it gets you what to expect. From a developer's perspective, it gives you some realistic expectations as well regarding the learning curve.
Nice. Do you ever have to sell, speaking of Angular, do you ever have to do any kind of selling between Angular and React? Do you come across that a lot?
Question. So I work as a consultant. I've been in the consultant space for almost 3 years now. And as soon as I get comfortable with the language, they move me to another project and I get to learn a new one.
It's time for Vue.
Yeah, so that's literally what's happened. I'm actually on an Angular project right now. So that's why I've been coding in Angular all day. But it does make you versatile. And it's really, there are certain pieces from each language that you can kind of take from, right? As we've seen languages evolve over the years. So there's always something to be said for that. And you can never be comfortable.
What was your favorite part about writing about React Native and teaching other girls how to code?
Their excitement, those aha moments when they first get that, when they see because they're on their phones all the time, especially the younger generation. So knowing that they can actually build an app and go home and show their parents, hey, you know, I built this, and we engaged the camera, and I think I had like a light API, and show them the whole flow. Hey, you got to allow permissions to be on there. And, you know, just going through the whole flow, and then just really giving the high fives, like, okay, it works. I'm like, hello, high five. This is great, you know.
Oh,
and
I love it.
Because coding needs to be fun. My own children, you know, they're like, well, Mom, coding looks boring. I'm like, no, you have to make your job fun, you know.
Yeah, do what you love.
Yeah.
Any of your kids doing it? Go ahead, Janelle. I'm sorry I interrupted you.
No, I was literally asking what you were going to say.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, you do it.
No, go.
Do any of your kids develop?
Well, my oldest, she said it doesn't look fun to be a developer. And I was really heartbroken by that. But I told her what's really fun is having a job that you can pay your bills on, and having enough money to pay that bill, I think is really fun, especially in your 20s. As a musician in my early 20s, I didn't have enough money to cover my bills. So I think that's the first part of having fun. But you make your own environment, and we've gotten more relaxed over the years too. So we always joke around, and I think the funnest thing I do is I'll create weird data types. I'll be like, first name Anita, last name Man. All the.
Are they coming to talk, Betty? Shiva here. Are they coming to talk? Because usually I saw them like when you were presenting that.
Yeah, I'm gonna bring them. They'll be at Disney while we're working and enjoying stuff. So, but yeah, we'll be there.
But they're gonna tell them.
I was just going to say, you just have to tell them about the creative experience, when you actually create something and it works, and like that whole, I was wondering if I could build this thing, and I actually was able to, and that whole experience is, sure, something that they've experienced, outside of coding, but that might translate over.
Yeah, my son does Roadblocks games, so he's learning that. So. Yeah, he's had me help him with some of the stuff. I'm like, coding is coding. We just figure it out. None of us know all the answers.
That's what Google's for. Google knows the answers.
Don't code from Google. Answers.
Not if you're using the latest stuff.
Michael should know. When Angular came out, they had such horrible stuff. Like, oh yeah, this works. It works, but you shouldn't do it that way.
Yeah, you do have to learn things. You can't just copy off of Stack Overflow or anywhere else. I mean, it can help you get into the right direction, but you have to understand what is happening and how to debug it.
Yeah, well said. All right, well, why don't we go ahead and jump to another one of you guys, another speaker, because I know we don't have a lot of time, but who wants to go next?
We can go alphabetically. I'm fine with that.
Okay, alphabetically. Next.
So, nailing the tech interview, right? Yeah. There's a lot of prep work that goes into it. There's the planning, and then there is what actually occurs when the nerves get the best of you, right? And then there's the follow-up. So my talk goes through the pre, the during, and the post phase of the interview. And it's a mixture of personal experience, input from other professionals, some online resources, and I will be polling the audience for their additional feedback. We will all be in a room together. Let's take advantage of it. Everyone has knowledge to offer. And why should you bother coming to hear my talk, right? So I have over 15 years of experience in the industry, and I've bounced around. I've worked for Well Medical Center, Cornell, IBM, a few other places, American Museum of Natural History. I'm currently faculty. I left industry. I'm faculty at City University of New York. And throughout those years, I've met many people. I've been on many interviews, both as an interviewer and as an interviewee. So I guess it wasn't intentionally planned, but since I'm very social, I was gathering feedback throughout the years, and I've put it all together to hopefully help others, whether they're in the transition and looking for something more interesting, or whether they're out of a job, or if they want to change and enter the tech industry. I put it all together for them, and hopefully they can come to the talk, learn, share, and use it to make their dreams come true. We will be at Disney.
Sounds magical.
That's really cute. I love that. That makes me super happy. Are you going to be using any kind of like polling tools, or are you just kind of live polling, kind of like, hey, answer these questions and here's a microphone, or how's that? Do you quite know yet? Or
I will be giving some pop quizzes with some answers straight off the bat. I I can give you a teaser, such as what is the percentage of resumes that actually, get a call back? Okay. Find it out. Come to the talk. Show me you did your research also. I will have people understand how they can improve their resume or what they should do when they're whiteboarding, what they should not do. And basically some multiple choice questions. They can simply show a 1, a 2, a 3, or a 4 instead of submitting via the Google Doc, because what if we have a Wi-Fi problem? Our fingers hopefully will be there.
Hopefully, God.
Look, I have kitchen accidents all the time. I could show you.
Can I ask a question?
Yes.
I get so nervous, and as I mentioned, I'm a consultant. So every time I change projects, I will go from saying, hey, you're getting moved to a different project, and then I have a technical interview with technical architects that afternoon, and I'm just cold. And I'm so nervous. It feels like an oral exam. They'll kind of questions, and I get so nervous. Are you gonna kind of give us some tips on how to deal with that?
Yes, I'll give some tips on how to deal with the nerves and get them under control.
Or like when you say something stupid and you're like, what just came out of my mouth?
Yeah, it races. Yes, I'll also be sharing some actual stories from people that I know and what went wrong where and how to sort of avoid that. And if we have enough time, we can even do some sessions.
Oh, that'd be fun to do like some mock interviews on stage with people.
Ooh.
That would, but I don't know if they would all like that because they'll probably get those nerves.
Oh, dude, I would throw my hand up. That'd be awesome.
It would be very.
All right, then I might bring you.
I'll be there. I'll be happy to. That sounds
right.
great. Do you mind if I ask you if you could just share one little teaser of like a piece of advice? Just like, and it doesn't need to be like, the big thing, but just, just a little piece of candy, a little something of like, what's one of the things that you should definitely do on an interview?
Strike a superhero pose before you enter. Make sure nobody sees you though.
What's that one?
Oh, yeah, I heard that. So like, it makes you feel confident. Like you spend like 2 or 3 minutes in a bathroom, not to sound weird, but like you said, so nobody sees you, to where you stand in like a confident pose, and it makes you feel more confident, just the simple act of doing that.
Yes. So it's a tricky one because what if your interviewer happens to enter that same bathroom? Ever thought about that?
I have many times, and it happened.
Yeah. I mean, for those who often give speeches, right, or talks, or if you're a consultant and you're going to go to a client's office and give your pitch, how many times do you encounter the person that you'll be meeting with in the bathroom? Very often, right? So you have to be careful. Now, I say strike a superhero pose, but what I really mean is try not to do it, let's say, in the bathroom. If you really need to physically strike a superhero pose, like, hey, I'm Superman or Wonder Woman, do it mentally. Boost up your confidence. One other tip could be, instead of striking a superhero pose, write a list of your personal accomplishments beforehand so that you're like, wait, I've earned this job already. I can do all those things they're asking for. Or if you're saying this software that I'm trying to sell, because that's a type of interview. It's a different kind of interview, but that's more for Betty, I guess, right? This software that I'm trying to sell, it does A, B, C, and D. And you know what? It even does E. So I'm going to go in there and I'm going to knock their socks off.
So you have a really good point, though. Even as developers, we're always in sales. I mean, I don't know if you noticed, but I have a squeaky voice. I'm actually a girl.
Really, me too.
and sometimes when I pitch my ideas to a group full of guys, they don't want to eagerly go with it. So I literally have to sell why this is the best approach, how it's been proven out, the benefits of it, and you're always in sales, you know?
You are. And I think other industries face the same problem. You're either selling yourself, you're selling what you're doing, or even on a team call, let's say for planning, you're selling your idea right then. Why yours is better than somebody else's. So it's important to be able to not only know what you're talking about, but know how to get that message across. And I'll use a word that I so rarely pronounce correctly. You need to get that message across succinctly.
Dang, I don't even know
You
what that
did it.
means.
I love it. I love it. I love it. You did it perfect.
Okay.
Well done.
Amazing.
So take some risks, right?
Yeah.
Like trying to say a word you can say sometimes.
I think you should do a Beyonce hair flip. I think that perfect.
No,
You did
my
it.
hair is a little bit too long to do that.
No, it's okay. You could
There we
totally
go.
do it. Either way.
So-
If you have no hair, you could do it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Dang.
All right. I think we're on to
Nice.
Joey.
Hey there.
Joey.
Okay. Hey. All right. By the way, you know what? Actually, sometimes I do the superhero thing in the bathroom. I figure if somebody ran into me in the bathroom, you know, I would just go all Batman and go, why did you use this bathroom?
Welcome to the Bat Cave.
Actually. So, anyways, I'm Joey deVilla. I am lead product manager at SourceToad, who are also a sponsor. Actually, I'm doing double duty at the conference. I am representing SourceToad, and I'm also representing one of the sponsors, RayWenderlich.com, mobile tutorial site. So they're going to have a booth there. They're going to be pushing a lot of their Android books. They're really known as an iOS developer site, but lately they've stretched into Android. In fact, I'm on their Android team because I like a challenge. I'm actually an iOS developer, but I decided for a challenge, and because they needed the writers, I joined the Android team and have written a couple of Android tutorials for them. But my actual presentation is jump into Jupyter Notebooks. And Jupyter Notebooks are a way of combining, well, basically it's a math notebook. Probably Jupyter Notebooks is the open source version. So it lets you write reports with textual stuff, but like your math or physics teacher said, show your work. You can also stick code in it, code and data to back up your report. And it's being used by a couple of people to produce reports and do data analysis. For instance, there's this tiny little startup you may have heard of called Netflix. They do some kind of video thing. And anyways, their business model is all about getting you to watch figuring out what videos you want to watch and getting them right in front of you. So it is a data-driven organization, and they use Jupyter Notebooks to create these reports, which happen to have little programs in them that do big data analysis for them. There is another use for it. There's a little list called this, and the recent Nobel Prize winner for economics actually is a Jupyter Notebook convert. So he's the one. He used Jupyter Notebooks to produce his report. So it's got all the text and diagrams of his report. Plus, there's a whole bunch of code and data that back up his research. So basically, what it is it lets you do. It basically lets you write this very complete document with all the text explaining everything, plus all the code and all the data, where so it crunches the numbers so that you can actually have the data that backs up your conclusions right there. You can have people examine the code that helped you come to those conclusions, and you can even have interactive things so that people can kind of explore the data that that you're presenting as part of your report. It is the hot new tool in a hot new field that is data science. Scientists love this stuff, and if you want, if you want to get into data science, and it's a nice place to be because we're producing more data than ever before, and somebody's got to crunch it and turn it into useful stuff. Yeah, you want to get into Jupyter Notebooks right now. It's like knowing iPhone programming in 2008.
That's a statement. All right. Who is it for besides people that are crunching data or data scientists? Is anybody else, or is it specifically that?
Actually, it's for anywhere where you want to have code and some kind of textual data behind it. So a lot of people use it for tutorials. Jupyter Notebooks, supports 40 different languages. So you can actually have, it is likely that if you have a favorite programming language, you can program a Jupyter Notebook using your particular favorite programming language. The preferred one seems to be Python. It's a big favorite with a lot of data science people. It's a nice language. I actually learned Python while at Burning Man, and any language you can learn at Burning Man has got to be good because there are a lot of distractions there.
That's a good story.
You have to tell that story at DevFest.
Okay, I will.
That has to be like a thing.
But yeah, I had to. Yeah, I had a new. This is a while back, but I had a job that started immediately after Burning Man, and I did not know Python at the time. So during the day, when the partying was down to a reasonable minimum, that's when I was learning Python on my laptop, hooked up to my RV's electric generator, and I had the O'Reilly Learning Python book, and yeah, picked it. Yeah,
I wanted to hear like you were in a class, like somebody had a Python session at Burning Man from like 10 to 12 every day.
There was a Mac user. Join. There was a Mac user group meeting there, but no. This was way back. This was like this is Burning Man '99.
Oh, okay.
So I had my Toshiba with a lot of RAM at the time, 96 megs, and I was learning on that.
Wow,
that's awesome.
He aced that interview, by the way.
Good old days.
That's what that was. He's like, I don't know Python, but give me like a weekend at Burning Man. It'll be fine.
Yeah, I guess I could do that. Nice. That's good for you.
So, how would you explain this to like someone who's like, you know what, that doesn't sound like a fun thing to me either way, right? Like if someone is just very obstinate, is like, meh, I'm 5, I don't want to do it. I'm very angry about it, right? I don't want to do any of these things. How would you convince that angry 5-year-old that this is an important piece of technology that they should use?
Good question.
Okay. Actually, that's a good question. And what I would do is, because Jupyter Notebooks mix the idea of books with actual working code, I would write a Jupyter Notebook with some interactive ability. So it'd be like a pop-up book. Remember those things? Those were loads of fun as kids. And actually, this is the closest thing. Jupyter Notebooks are actually the closest thing we've had to pop-up books. So we're talking about literature with an interactive element in it. We don't have a very long tradition of that sort of thing beyond pop-up books, or maybe hiding a snake inside a scroll. That's it. So this is a whole new territory. It's you can create interactive literature like this. We're beginning to get into it. Have you seen the new Black Mirror movie on Netflix, Bandersnatch, the interactive one?
Oh yeah, that was awesome.
Yeah. We're like at the cave painting phase of interactive literature and documentation, and Jupyter Notebooks is part of that wave.
I like that icon.
That is a great for those who are listening, Michael put in the chat a snake and a scroll, so we're all chuckling about it. It's pretty adorable.
The emoticon, the emojis. I had no idea there was that in the YouTube.
I had no idea there was a scroll emoji.
You'll have to wait for DevFest to hear more from Joey about that. So let's go down our list. Who's next alphabetically? I'm not good with letters.
I think it's Michael.
I think it's me. Yes.
Hey.
How's it going?
How are you?
Doing great. Just was looking at some code for my talk and hacking on a couple little things. But
I bet you were.
Got a lot of work to do, but I'll be ready. So I'm going to be talking about this really big, long thing. So the talk's called Composing Angular UIs with Angular Material Components. So all of those words are actually part of the talk. So all those things are topics. So we're going to talk about composing components. That's going to be using things like schematics, which allow you to generate components, and also using existing Angular material components to put those components together to build sort of a higher level component. So you've got buttons and you've got like a side nav and you got a list, and you put those all together to make your navigation or something like that. And then we'll be talking about accessibility. So I'm going to demo Lighthouse. I'm going to demo a little bit of Mac voiceover, and just show people, if they haven't seen, like, here's what it's like. I'm going to have some audio, so you'll hear the robot voice talking to you from the screen reader. And I'll talk a little bit about the guidance that Angular Material gives. So in all the docs, there's a section specific to accessibility, like, here, do these things and your app will be accessible.
So I have to ask a question real quick.
Yeah.
Is it going to be so easy to use that a blind person could do it?
Your app should be, certainly. I mean, it's not necessarily just that it's easy, but that you have the...
always the selling point when I did accessibility. I'm like, this is going to be so beautiful. It's going to be so easy to use. A blind person can use it.
That's accessible.
Yeah, they need to be able to, especially if you're in, finance or government or anything like that. There's a lot of requirements that you have to meet. So,
like what? What's some of the big requirements that people might not be aware of? I mean, we obviously we talk about things like for people like blind people to be able to use it, but what's some of the things that you're going to talk about that you outline, or maybe the really big things?
Well, at a higher level, there's just some basic things. The initial starting point is, can you use it with a keyboard and no mouse? So just, if someone, it's not even if they're disabled necessarily. Sometimes people just don't have access or don't have a hand free for the mouse. Yeah. And then also, you want them to be able to use it with a screen reader. So if they can't actually read the screen, can they navigate around? Can they, do they know that this button is the delete everything I own button versus, the update my status button? So lots of things like that are really important. And I'll show some of the tools that are needed to get your app to be usable in those different scenarios. And for blindness, it's not just like I'm completely blind. In a lot of cases, there's maybe just some color issues, or there's some, just some blurring to your vision. Other cases, you're actually using a device that doesn't have a screen. Whether you're in a warehouse or you're somewhere else, there may be some reason that, you need to use an interface that doesn't have a display.
Hey, Alexa. Yeah.
Don't even stop it with your whole
Oh, what did I do? Hey, Alexa, subscribe to the Thunder Nerds.
I'm so glad I'm wearing headphones. So I have a side note question that is kind of relevant. So there's been like a really kind of huge change.org kind of petition on Twitter. I don't know if you've seen it, but Beyonce and her team may or may not be getting sued right now because her site is not accessible. And, there's like a whole like Mina Markham should totally do this because she's amazing. What are your feelings on that, and how would you go about, making steps to making that site accessible like right now?
I think it's a great idea. Yeah, I don't know if that'll help accessibility or not.
It might.
That's just a good example of, any kind of site that is going to be important to people. You need to realize that there's a large portion of people that are going to want to use accessibility tools for various reasons, and they're going to want to interact with your site. They're going to want to interact with you, and if they can't do that, then you're out of luck. They're out of luck. As far as like how to fix that, there's lots of easy wins. There's lots of good articles out there for sort of easy accessibility wins to just get some basic things working. But sometimes it comes down to the technology used and sort of way that they're doing it. If you're doing some sort of crazy thing with Canvas or something like that, then you may run into more accessibility issues. And so it's a matter of looking at what are the building blocks, and hopefully those building blocks provide hooks and things for you to be able to make accessibility easy.
Yeah, when I did accessibility for e-commerce sites, they saw their sales increase because it was just, and it was also a benefit for people without, identified disabilities. It's better for everybody in working with designers and teaching them some basic UX patterns for accessibility. They're like, oh yeah, now the call to action is so much easier to see, and you just have such a faster workflow. There's so many benefits. I'm really passionate about accessibility, so I'm thrilled that you're going to be covering this, because some of the libraries.
Interesting how maybe even 5 years ago, it really wasn't such a big topic, or it wasn't as easy to sell, if that's the right word, as it is now. But people are really coming around and understand the value.
Well, that, and it's the laws that have changed, and when they get sued, they get more attention to it. Unfortunately, that's not a really good way to sell it. But
thankfully, the tooling is getting better as well. A lot of the sort of testing tooling, interaction tooling in the browsers is much better. The screen readers themselves are definitely still evolving. There's a lot there. It's kind of like the old days where browsers were, not compatible hardly at all. So the screen readers often have very different behaviors. So when you're testing, you need to test on a numerous, set of screen readers.
That's awesome.
But things are getting better. I just actually, a couple months ago, I helped a guy with a pull request from Germany who was completely blind. And he submitted a pull request, and it was an issue with the library that it needed, a certain component needed some tweaks and some changes. And so we got it done, and he got it merged in there. And now when he goes to sites that are built with the library, that component is now accessible and easy for him to use.
Internet high five.
That's so rewarding.
Yes. That is amazing.
That's actually something you can tell your kids that you did. I can't.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome. I'm working on Angular material, so it's pretty awesome to know that when I get a change in, that it goes to so many people and so many apps, and it really has an impact.
Yeah, that's the world we live in. So let's go ahead. Let's move on. Who is next?
Are you ready for it? We've got
like
a super huge Orlando superstar.
Orlando superstar. Ooh.
Yes, someplace like what was it, 3 or 4 months ago? Santosh?
Yeah.
Was it like 3 or 4 months ago that you just got hired at this new company, and you're like,
oh yeah,
huge superstar now, and you're like a big name here.
And so yeah, I got hired 3 or 4 months ago at Orlando company called Nebbia, and it was a 4-year-old company specializing in DevOps that was started by my good friend Esteban Garcia, who some of you might be familiar with.
Oh yeah, I know Esteban.
Yeah, so yeah, I'm excited to work there. I mean, it's every day is a new adventure, mostly in a good way.
Yes, that's awesome.
Yep.
What are you speaking about?
Oh, so okay. So before we talk about that, I want to apologize for the yellow background. For those of you who are not.
You're in a techno club, right?
Not really. I'm stuck in a corner of my house because we are working on the house, trying to put it on the market. So I got stuck into a little bedroom, and apparently, the light in here makes me look super yellow. So
I thought you were broadcasting from Mars, or you were.
I thought you were going for a cool effect with gel lights.
Yeah.
Okay, well, if it looks cool.
Beautiful self right now.
Yeah. No, just play it off.
Yeah, I
I'm
know.
in the club right now. What's up?
All right.
Let's talk about no SQL, whatever.
All right. Okay, so my talk is called Introduction to NoSQL or NoSQL, however you want to pronounce it. And maybe we can take a poll after I give my pitch on how you want me to pronounce it. But it's about NoSQL and how to pick a cloud-based NoSQL provider. So here's where I come from. I have been, obviously, judging by my graying beard, I've been around, longer than the dinosaurs. I worked on a Y2K project, so just that kind of puts me, carbon dates me.
Sorry, what's Y2K? Is that a band? That's a band, right?
Carbon
Y2K?
date, yeah.
Or Y2K? Y2K
Yeah.
is a neat.
It's a band.
Confirmed.
So, confirmed, yes. So I've worked on different types of databases, MySQL, SQL Server, Postgres, all the relational databases. Hey, I've even worked on Microsoft Access. So yeah. No, it's actually fun. You should try it sometime.
Okay.
So then somewhere in the middle of the last decade, we started hearing about this thing called NoSQL. And, around 2010, NoSQL was pretty big. No one exactly knew what it was about. A lot of marketing people got hold of it. And soon enough, all the enterprise architects and, all the architects decided that because marketing people are talking about it, we should put NoSQL in every system. So, so that it's, small industry secret. That's how most of the architects work in general. But that's a whole different story. Anyway, then you started hearing about things like, oh, MongoDB, Redis, Neo4j, Cassandra. But no, what are these things? What is the difference between, let's say, MongoDB versus RavenDB versus Cosmos DB? All of these are document databases. So what's the difference between these? Or what is a document NoSQL database? People have such questions, and so that's where I'm coming from. Is I wanted to kind of give a broad overview of how what of the solutions that NoSQL databases provide, and what are the different types of NoSQL database, when you should use these different types of NoSQL database, and more importantly, when do you not use them? Because that's one thing I've noticed we tend to do as developers is when we latch on to something, we tend to use it for everything. When you have a hammer, everything looks like a nail. So that's what we developers do. So I want to talk about why we should not succumb to that temptation, and what are the different types of NoSQL databases, and how does it match up with relational databases that we are familiar with, like MySQL and SQL Server. So that's basically my talk. But after giving this talk in a different venue, I realized that one of the things that I've not covered is the fact that most people or most development teams are not qualified to host their own NoSQL database. If you look at most of the hacks that happened recently, they come from some unsecured instance of MongoDB. So after that, I added another angle to my talk, which is cloud-based providers for NoSQL databases. Use a cloud-based provider like Google, Amazon, Microsoft, whatever floats your boat. Use them. Don't try to host your own Mongo instance and become the next person on the news. So that's the angle I'm coming from.
That's nifty. I like that a lot. So this is going to be a brand new talk almost. It's not going to be something that you've already given before. That's kind of your sell on this is, hey, I've given this talk in Orlando or, elsewhere, but there's like this really cool thing. I'm trying for your company not to be hacked. let's talk about it.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess that's the angle I'm coming from. Is yes, I've given this talk before, but the more I talk to people, I realize that I am doing a disservice by not stating the fact that you should probably not host your own NoSQL instance. So yes, this is kind of an addendum kind of thing. So I modified my talk, and I want to dedicate a significant portion of my talk to talking about the NoSQL cloud-based hosting, fully managed NoSQL, and why you should probably use that before you try to do your own stuff.
Is there going to be? Oh, go for it.
Yeah, and that still leaves you plenty of time to worry about lots of interesting problems, like how to encrypt your data in that database, and all sorts of stuff you need to do. Just because you are cloud hosted, it solves like a chunk of problems, but you still have a lot of stuff to do. You can't just like spin up a database and be like, oh, production, stick production data in there.
Right, exactly. So yeah, so you can spin up an instance, put it on the cloud, and you can do that with cloud-based providers. Spin up an instance, and they will probably provide you with some kind of connection parameters, and they will take care of the security. So to me, the most important part is security. That's number one. And after that comes scalability. Again, I feel like there are plenty of development teams out there that try to reinvent the wheel when it comes to this type of when it comes to providing this type of solution. So don't reinvent the wheel. Focus on your business problems, bring value to your customer, and let the cloud-based hosting providers take care of your data. And if you do it with a reputed cloud-based provider like Google or Amazon or Microsoft, they will not steal your data. They're not going to sell it to anyone. So stop indulging in conspiracy theories and actually focus on bringing value to your customer.
Yeah, well said. Yeah. Awesome. All right. Go ahead.
Oh, no, go for it.
No, you go for it.
Oh, well, thank you. I appreciate it. Sorry, we're very polite here. So, done. All right. So, are you going to be talking more to people who are just starting off learning how to code, or do you want like more of a target audience of people who have been coding already? And then I have a follow-up question to that.
Okay. Do you want to ask a follow-up question, or do you want me to answer first and then ask?
Your answer first, and then I will follow up.
Okay. So my talk is generally geared towards developers who build systems that consume any kind of data. So if you're building a data-driven system, chances are you probably want to come to my talk so you can learn about another way of storing your data and giving you the ability to scale, manage, and scale it. So that's kind of my angle. So it would help if you had a little bit of development experience. But I'm also going to be talking about the basics of NoSQL. So if you ever wanted to learn about NoSQL, or you ever wondered what these different types of NoSQL databases are, like what is Redis, or what is MongoDB, you should probably come to my talk.
I like it. Why do you think people try to host their own instances? Like, what is do you think the primary kind of reason for that?
Yeah, is it cost?
No, actually, I would say that there's something called a total cost of ownership. It's a metric that's a very cloud-based metric, and it says that if you consider the fact that by the time you find a host, put in a physical machine, install the software, put virtual machine, power your data center, and you hire people to take care of it. Instead of that, if you use a cloud-based provider, you almost save a magnitude of a huge magnitude of the cost, almost 10 to 100 times of what you'd be spending trying to do it on your own. So that's not why people do it. People, development teams do it because people, there are still people who do not trust cloud-based hosting, and I can't necessarily fault them for that, because you have heard of AWS go down or Azure go down. So they think they can do better. I would say that's not true. I mean, it's just not. I mean, I can empirically provide data that can prove it false. And the other thing is pride, because we always think developers think we can do anything faster and better. So, yeah, that's why generally teams tend to do it. But again, I'm hoping if I can convince one person not to do it, then I think my job is well done.
Yeah, I would say so.
Yeah, you could save a company tens of thousands of dollars.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
All right. Well, speaking of computers, maybe we should jump to machine learning and auto machine learning. And I think someone's going to talk about that.
Is that Shiva?
Yeah, I'm going to talk about that.
You are?
Yeah. So I'm Shiva. I'm working as architect in CEI, Computer Enterprises Inc. That's in Orlando. So I'm developing like a mobile cloud and IoT solutions for different clients. So about the talk, I'm going to talk in the new hotness topic, AI adventures with AutoML. So that's about like a Google Cloud platform that's providing like a spectrum of machine learning offerings. So if you want to do the machine learning, basically like you are training the machine to do human capabilities such as vision, hearing, and conversation. For example, vision in the sense like you are showing some images and the machine can say like whether that image contain a hot dog or not, whether that image is cat or dog. So those kind of image classification, and as well as conversation and the hearing is like a speech to text, text to speech conversation, and the chat bots and the conversational experience. So those are the different machine learning products that is provided by the Google Cloud. One of the new product that is provided by the Google is AutoML, Auto Machine Learning. So AutoML is going to provide like we can train the high quality machine learning model. Basically like AutoML has AutoML vision, so we can upload our own images and we can tag the label and we can train the model so that the machine learning, the final machine learning model can predict like what label it is. I'm going to show the demo with my 2-year-old daughter toys. I have already told like I have 2-year-old daughter, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to upload these kind of toy images.
Very apropos for the event.
Yes, that's right.
For our audio listeners, we have a Mickey Mouse and a Donald Duck.
Thematically appropriate.
Yeah. So my daughter is a big fan of like a Mickey Clubhouse show. So I have like a all set of character toys here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to upload these images and train the machine learning model. And the machine learning will like predict the image, like whenever I'm uploading the image, it will detect like whether it's a Mickey or Donald or Goofy or Pluto. So I have like this will work like predict the images and it will identify the characters. So
more importantly though, will it tell me why they're both dogs and one could speak and one cannot? I need to know that. Why are computers that smart? Tell me.
Are there going to be any female representatives? My daughter is a big Minnie Mouse fan, so hope we see her.
I have the Minnie also, but my daughter is holding right now in the hall. I cannot like get the toy from my daughter.
You're scared of her, right?
That is a question. How will AI really know that both Goofy and Pluto are a dog.
Okay, so that's what in part of my talk I'm going to discuss about how the machine learning will understand these kind of things, because from human we know these are the different characters, and we can easily classify this is Mickey, this is Minnie, because of the appearance or because of the color it's using. But for the machine, everything is like a binary, right? It's not able to understand what appearance it is or what difference between those images. But there are the deep learning neural network and the machine learning algorithms. So that's going to be trained with all these images. So it will not directly identify whether it's a Mickey or Minnie. We need to upload the images and train the machine learning hey, I have uploaded 50 images, 25 out of 25 these are the Mickey, and out of 25 these are the Minnie images. Then the machine will identify the common things between those images, and it will train itself to identify the Mickey and Minnie. And since it is machine learning, everything is a prediction based. So even if it is predicting this is Donald, it's not 100% sure it's Donald. Based on the machine learning quality, it's hey, I'm 60% sure it's Donald, or 75% sure it's Mickey. So it will do those kind of prediction based on the percentage. So I'm going to talk about how we can improve those machine learning accuracy, and in the Google AutoML product, how we can read those metrics, and how we can get the result, and how we can improve the result. So those are the important things I'm going to cover in the topic, which I'm going to talk on Jan 19th.
Are you using it in production?
I'm not using it in production, and I think it's still in beta. Microsoft has a custom mission service, and this Google has AutoML. Everything is coming, and everything is still in beta right now. So I think hopefully it would go to the production. I'm doing it for a learning purpose. So the new hotness game, I'm learning with my daughter toys along with my daughter, and trying to share the things with you guys.
Hey, are you gonna do the hot dog, not hot dog app?
I really want that app.
Yeah,
is that on the iOS store right now?
Actually, it's real. We made it.
Polish. It can be a Polish. Calm down, everyone.
It's a real app. They made it. You can actually get it in the store.
Yeah, I think Microsoft made one too.
You talking about hot dogs or the app?
The hot dog, not hot dog app. Yeah, it's real.
Oh,
and hot dogs are real.
Microsoft has hot dogs?
Yeah, Microsoft hot dogs.
In the cafeteria.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, I'm hungry now.
Yeah,
a little sauerkraut.
Clippy serves the hot dogs.
So, what you're going to be talking about is in Microsoft Azure's kind of image analysis kind of thing. They've got the confidence levels. Is that kind of what you're going to be hey, how do we make that better and more actually accurate, as opposed to it's kind of accurate. Maybe I'm 72.5% sure that this might be a train, but it could also be I don't know, a pig.
Okay, so
not really sure.
there is two different product, right? One is the Vision API, that is the pre-trained model. So both are similar in both in Google and Microsoft. So one is a Vision API, everything is pre-trained. So if you take a picture obviously the screen, then it's going to say it's a computer screen, right? So those kind of the common objects, they already have a pre-trained models. You can directly hit the API and get the result. I think that's one of the thing. Microsoft is also providing a Vision API. And the other product is this one, what I'm talking is building a custom model. So this toys and everything based on.
Because Microsoft doesn't have the Disney toys in there.
Yeah, Disney, probably if I process this one as a Vision API, it would say it's a fluffy toy, or it's something, the common characteristic of the toy. But I want to say this is the special object that's based on for my domain. Probably the toy, probably I would say types of product, right, or types of logo. For example, like I have a company and that has like a different products, and I need to differentiate between those logos. Then that's like a domain-based model. So to build this domain-based model, we need to really improve the accuracy. It's not like the common thing. So I'm going to talk about like how to read the metrics, because
make everything look so easy. All your talks are like, it's easy. See?
Yeah.
and my talks are like, okay, this is what you can expect. It's going to break a lot. You're going to get frustrated.
As long as I could walk away with that hot dog app, I'm going to be happy. That's going to be there, right?
Yeah, that's you want the hot dog or not hot dog?
No.
This is like an advanced version of the hot dog.
I would like hot dog.
I just want an actual hot dog. If you hand those out during the talk, that'd be the best.
Okay, do you have the hot dog in the conference? And probably I can show the live demo. Like I can take the my app and go to that the breakfast bar and take the picture like whether it's a hot dog or not.
Dude, I'll bring a pack of 6 koshers. You got it. We're happening.
Well, maybe. Yeah, maybe we can get Mickey Mouse to walk in and we can, point his app at it and
yeah,
that's recognize us.
Yeah.
Well, if Mickey Mouse isn't coming to your talk, I don't know if I want to be there. I want
He's
Mickey
gonna
Mouse
be there. He's gonna
in every
be there.
single one of these talks. Like, these talks sound awesome and could only be made only slightly better, just slightly, by Mickey Mouse. They're already awesome. I mean, how can they get better, right? Like, this is really, really cool stuff, Shiva. Like,
yeah.
What do you feel is like the future for this, right? Like, what do you think you can eventually, like, maybe like even 2 years down the road from this, like, kind of do with this kind of stuff?
Okay, so for the AI, right? The couple of things. AI is already in the place. It's not like the AI is a new thing we are going to integrate with the application. AI is already there. So even like filtering the spam from the email, or like bringing like a YouTube searches for you. So those are like already AI in place. The only improvement I'm just thinking like what's going to happen in 2 years is like it's going to make developers easy to integrate. It's not like to implement the machine learning, you need like a couple of machines and you need to do all those data science and everything. What I am seeing in the improvement of machine learning is like, hey, upload these images and train it and hit this API. It's that much easy as it is like for the developers. I think that's the thing it's going to do for like in the machine learning.
That's dope. I like it. I'm a fan.
Well, yeah, we're just about out of time now, guys. We spent about an hour on this, and I don't know if you are not interested in these talks after listening to this. I don't know what's going to convince you, because there's going to be a lot of learning, a lot of fun, a lot of amazing, great things to take away from the conference. So you got to come down, see everybody on January 19th. It's a Saturday. Again, it's an all-day event. Go to devfestflorida.org to learn more. And if you want to get 25% off your ticket, go to thundernerds.io/devfest, and you'll be redirected and you can get 25% off your ticket. Since we're at the end, does anybody have any final words they want to say? Anything to the audience before we get going?
Yes, this is the only conference that ends with fireworks. That was
that's right. There's fireworks. Disney.
That was amazing.
We're planning fireworks again. I just want to give a little update, a brief update. We have made a partnership with Google Cloud. So they are helping sponsor. They're going to have a number of Google employees there on the Google Cloud team. They're going to be taking like office hours requests. So if your company's coming, you want to like get some one-on-one interaction with them, you can set those up. They're also going to be running a separate track just in the same building, like literally just around the corner. And they're going to have a whole like hall there where they're going to be running Google Cloud Talks all day long. Oh, wow. So those are all free, and you'll be able to sort of go from DevFest over there and come back and mix as you'd like. So,
and that's all part of the same ticket, right?
Yeah, that event's free. So if you go to that event for free, you can. If you want to wander into DevFest Florida, you will need a ticket. But if you're at DevFest Florida, you're welcome to go over there. And so there'll be a lot of opportunities there, a lot of people to talk to if you are doing cloud or you're curious about Google Cloud. So that's going to be a big opportunity there. Of course, we will have a good number of IBM and Azure folks around as well. So there's lots of different variety to talk to.
So excited.
Yeah,
oh, yeah, it's going to be good.
Well, yeah, everybody, make sure you come out again, January 19th. It's on a Saturday all day. It's going to be an amazing event.
Bring a date.
Bring
somebody.
Bring 5 people.
Friends.
Make an event out of it.
Yeah, if you get coupons like the 25% off, you could literally save a whole person if you bring 4 people. Like,
oh my god,
good, one person for free.
So
like,
there's also there's another discount if you buy 2 tickets together. You get like an additional discount, and we also have packs of 3 and 5.
Nice. So go to devfestflorida.org to find all those great discounts. But hey, thank you everybody for joining us today. Really appreciate you all spending some time with us and talking a little bit about your presentations. Super sincerely, honestly love you guys, and thank you for joining our audience and sharing your time with us. It's been awesome.
Thank you.
I say make a trip out of it. Isn't it a holiday weekend? Conference, Disney, warm weather.
Yeah, good point.
What else could you ask for?
Yeah, exactly.
Mickey?
You have conference discounts on the hotels too. I'm taking advantage of them for sure.
That's right. And at the end, what do we get? At the end of the night? Fireworks. Boom. Yeah.
Come on.
Nice. Well, thanks everybody for watching. Really appreciate it. And XOXO Gossip Girl. Boom.